Imagine you are a brilliant doctor with an affinity for mechanical engineering. And one day you wake up and say to yourself, you know what? I bet I could rule the world. So you build yourself a bunch of weaponized robots powered by tiny animals and deploy them throughout the planet. Naturally, there's opposition, but oddly enough, it is in the form of an annoying blue hedgehog. He starts breaking all of your stuff, and you realize that the slave labor and booby traps aren't going to be enough to stop him, so you remember what your mama always told you. Ivo, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself! So you jump into your Eggmobile, equipped with weapons that will help allow you to use the environment to help you kill that annoying blue hedgehog!
That's one way to start this video. Put you in the seat of the Death Egg as Dr. Robotnik. You know, another point of view. Well, I want to make a video for the top 10 Sonic the Hedgehog bosses, so without further ado, roll the title card!
Hello YouTube, and welcome to
the top 10 Sonic the Hedgehog bosses! And video piece.
Now for the rules of this list. Sonic the Hedgehog has been around for a long time. Even longer than I've been around. But in more recent years, there's been a drop in quality Sonic games, if you get my drift. Heck, even my favorite Sonic game, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, was really lacking in the boss battle department. So for this list, I will only be including the 4 main Genesis titles, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and of course, Sonic and Knuckles. And here's probably the part where I should mention I wasn't including final bosses when making this list, but the thing is, I was. It's just those battles are very, very punishing. Rewarding, but very punishing. And the 3 things that I'm considering while making this list was, how fun are they? How well do they use their environment? And how fun are they? Well, with that out of the way, spot number 10 goes to...
Oh! Using the first boss from the first game as the first one on your list. How original! Yeah, but it's a great boss battle, and it does lead the standard for all other boss fights to come. So, you've been whizzing past rocks, trees, fire-shooting bumblebee things, and then all of a sudden your speed is interrupted by 2 platforms, and then a much bigger enemy lowers down from the skies, and then he... Oh, jeez, do I really have to read this? And then he comes in like a wrecking ball! And you've got a really fun boss battle on your hands. You've got to avoid that ball or he'll wreck you! By positioning yourself on the platforms, you can keep yourself alive and retaliate him at the same time. It requires a fair amount of skill and timing, but you'll be able to kill him. And this boss battle is so fun, they actually brought it back in Sonic and Knuckles. This next boss fight comes from the 4th game of the series, which is very important. So, once you play this game, you're probably familiar with the basic formula of this thing. Beat a boss battle, run right, jump on the container, free the flickies. Beat a boss, run right, jump on the container, free the flickies. Well, here, you're running right, you see the container, you jump on it, but when you jump on it, you don't free the flickies, but a giant murderous death machine! Look at the spike balls! Look at the angry eyes! I gotta admit, this is clever. It's certainly a shock the first time you face it. So like with all Sonic bosses, you've got to find its weak point, while avoiding its homing attack. It looks pretty solid, and jumping on its head didn't have the desired effect. Maybe after 2 swings, you think, wait a second, he's tracking me. What if I use his own strength against him? So you hop on his head and make him hit himself on the head. After about 3 hits, the flickies go free and you feel like a total boss. This boss fight is a Knuckles exclusive that you can only get by putting the Sonic 3 into the Sonic and Knuckles game case. Once you do that, you're in sort of a hard mode when you play as Knuckles. You see, you play the level as normal, but then you get to go on a different branching path that is sometimes more harder, it's got more enemies, more death traps. But for the most part, the boss fights are the same, except in Marble Gardens. You see, then you have a different boss. While the Sonic one is pretty fun, the Knuckles one is extremely challenging. You walk into this room and then all of a sudden, a razor comes from the ceiling! Then it comes from the ground and the razor wire finally files back to the ceiling! Severely limiting where you're allowed to move as Knuckles. And then Eggman comes flying following the path of his razor wire. This is your only chance to get an attempt to hit him, but you gotta be careful when you're attacking so that you do not hit the drill bit. It's a boss fight that Eggman used his environment very well for. Metal Sonic! This machine is awesome. I don't care too much for his prototype in Sonic 2, but the remade and remastered one in Sonic & Knuckles is a lot of fun, and his graphics are pretty cool. He brings back some of Robotnik's greatest hits to beat you in the earlier stages, but eventually he decides to take you man on man, or Hedgehog on Robot. And since you can have rings in this fight, you can make a mistake or two. But don't push it, because he'll kill you! I love Egyptian-themed levels, so the boss of this level is really cool. It's a giant laser-shooting spiked sphinx that attempts to walk you into a wall. That's awesome! While avoiding his laser forehead, you have to hit him in the face while his feet are expended enough for you to hop on and hit the Eggmobile. And the best part about this boss is that if you manage to kill him, your reward is the song from Lava Reef Zone. Oh man, I should totally do that. Top 10 rewards from boss battles. Number 1, the song by Lava Reef. I love that song. Now right here is a perfect example of environment usage and player adaptability. First, you're trapped between two totem poles, and Robotnik has a giant hammer. He whacks the pole and an arrow comes flying at you. It can be easily avoided, but you can't reach the Eggmobile. It's too high. So what? Are you doomed to live the rest of your days stuck between these two poles until enough arrows hit you to kill you? You see, the arrows are staying after being shot. So eventually, you'll end up jumping on one, and you realize you can jump on it right before it falls. So using your timing, your jumping skills, you can get the totem poles to shoot an arrow at you at high enough for you to jump on top, and then jump on top of the poles. And then Eggman is at your mercy. All you have to do is avoid his millionaire, while judging your jumps with enough skill to land back on top of your totem pole, truly making you feel like a highly skilled combatant when you win. Now here's where Eggman really starts using his surroundings to his advantage. First you walk onto some blocks and then Eggman comes out, you think nothing of it. The only thing his Eggmobile has is a switchblade. Oh, watch out, he's gonna stab you! Come on, Robotnik, I'm not scared of you! Oh, you're gonna have to move a lot quicker if you're gonna stab me! Ha! You hit the ground, you big dummy! And then you realize he wasn't aiming for you. The ground was his target. He plans to eliminate the very ground you walk on until there's nothing left! Now you're playing for keeps. You gotta beat him, and you gotta beat him fast. Otherwise, you'll fall to your death. Now, it's easy to win with only like 3 blocks being taken, but the direness of the situation makes it very scary and rewarding when you win. You saved you and no one else. After over 27 defeats, Eggman has had it. This next machine is built to kill, and you fall right for it. He lures you to the bottom of a lava waterfall with only a couple of pieces of ice for you to land on. He can control the way the lava flows. He's pimped him out with spikes to prevent that pesky jumping you keep trying to pull, and he's even got floating spike cannonballs. If this doesn't get you, what will? In this fight, you have to jump from piece of ice to piece of ice to keep alive. Fortunately, those spike balls Eggman brought to destroy you eventually end up destroying him. But it is a hard fight, unless you have a flame shield, that is amazing to overcome. This fight isn't great because of the fight necessarily, but the sense of accomplishment for winning. For 2 games, this dingwad has been nothing but a pain. He's thrown you off 2 bridges, blown up buildings that you were inside, reenacted Indiana Jones against your will, destroyed the carnival, and several other things. The sweet satisfaction of finally beating this punk is a great reward, and it proves that he is awesome, which we knew even when he was abusing you. Now, someone made a top 5 Sonic bosses and put nothing but final bosses and Knuckles, and said that Knuckles was working for Eggman and his own volition. But I think that's nonsense. I think it was something similar to Resident Evil 5 when Jill was working for Wesker. Some sort of device was controlling her. Alright, all I gotta do is line up this shot, shoot that thing off her chest, and save Jill! Yeah! I saved her! Think about it. Imagine some dude comes up to you with this villain mustache and says, Hey, you haven't heard about this extremely handsome guy who's been attacking several areas of the world, enslaving animals over the past 3 years, have you? Can't say that I have. Good, good. Hey, a little birdie that I enslaved told me that an annoying blue hedgehog is coming to steal your Master Emerald. Oh, heck no! And once the fight ends, there's all this smoke. I'm assuming it's the device breaking. I mean, if someone beat me within an inch of my life, I don't think I'd think to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm the bad guy, and then go attack my employer. But that's what happens, and we see how tough Knuckles is. First, you've done enough damage to him to destroy the Death Egg Mark II. And then he gets 2 giant electric nodes shooting him directly in the temple. And then he falls over 50 feet, landing on his head. Then he still manages to get up, punch an unbreakable wall, and then after some light travel, is he too tuckered to keep going. While this may not be the hardest fight on the list, it's certainly the most unique, environmentally challenging, and, most importantly, fun! First off, you've seen him multiple times throughout the level, destroying this area. You can land a hit or two before the ground starts collapsing, and you gotta go fast or you'll be squished to death. And then, unlike every other fight in the game, this one does not take place on the land. No. The drill-equipped Eggmobile takes off to the skies, and it's up to you and your two-tailed fox friend to lift you up and attack, all while avoiding his flybys. All of that uniqueness, including winning carnival tickets, makes this my #1 boss battle from the Sonic games. So there you have it, Human Gamer's Top 10 Sonic the Hedgehog boss battles! Did I miss one? If so, tell me what you would have put on the list. Perhaps you agreed with some. Do you remember any of these giving you a hard time? If so, include that in the comments. Also, if you like this, check out my other top 10s. I've also got some incomplete Sonic the Hedgehog Let's Plays. If you'd like to see me complete them, go ahead and comment on them, and I'll see what I can do. I loved these games as a kid after all, and don't mind playing them again, especially while being recorded.